Hello, everyone. Welcome back for Game 2 of the Tears of the Kingdom 90% Tournament Grand Finals between RedSlay and Gymnast. Again, we've got Clouded and Sirius doing the commentary, so I'm going to hand it over to the two of them and hope you enjoy the race.
Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Grand Finals. We are heading into Game 2 here after RedSlay just beat Gymnast in Game 1.
And what an incredible match that was. RedSlay showing off the incredible fast potential of the Arrow Smuggle Flight route and its incredible speed and versatility in the speedrun.
Yeah, we'll have to see here if he can keep up that momentum and get another good race with that, or perhaps see if Gymnast's consistency will be able to pull out a win for him and we'll be going to a Game 3 possibly.
I think that'll definitely be key here for Gymnast. Trying to get that fast intro clip, fast cog skip. The strats that he can, his route is already a bit slower than RedSlay's, so he'll have to rely on either his own consistency or maybe a little bit of daredevil behavior or some slip-ups from RedSlay to try to pull ahead and take the lead.
Yeah, I think definitely as long as Gymnast gets a good beginning, then it'll be looking very good for him to at least keep up within a minute of RedSlay. Just because he will be a lot less likely to make mistakes, and RedSlay, as we saw in the last race, made a few small mistakes that lost him some time, and Gymnast was able to catch up a little bit.
Indeed. And here we have both runners setting up for the race again, showing version number starting from fresh boot to comply with leaderboard rules. And going back to our first trick here, intro clip, this is what both runners opted to practice on during their break, was intro clip here as a that should just be a testament to how difficult of a trick it can be as our time is winding
and how
down
important it is. It's the first trick in the run, and it's quite a lot of time loss if you fail it. Especially if you fail that first cutscene skip.
For sure. Timer winding down here. Good luck to both of our runners for Game 2, and we are off in 3, 2, 1, start.
Awesome. I see someone asking in the chat about how long any percent is now. They've not kept up with the speedruns. The world record right now is 43:24.
42:24.
Oh,
a nice
42:24.
a nice palindrome number there for us.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And of course, current world record holder is none other than the player 5. Definitely a lot of potential for the route to go lower as well. We haven't even seen the full potential yet of what Arrow Smuggle can do with new strats being found every day.
Yeah, it's definitely nowhere near being fully optimized yet, so there'll definitely be a lot of time save potential still to be had. And we see RedSlay, as they're off, they both get an instant clip. This is awesome, and we get to see RedSlay getting his first cutscene skip as Gymnast taking a little bit longer to set up. And missing the cutscene skip again, Gymnast. Having a bit of trouble with that in the last race as well.
Looks like he was going for a little bit of extra setup time to try to ensure the cutscene skip. Unfortunately, does not get it. However, with a quick retry, he can still stay on a decent pace behind RedSlay.
Yeah,
so
it's not nearly as bad considering how fast he got the clip.
For sure. Clean second try as well.
Yeah, perfect. Not too much damage. And RedSlay, again, just showing how good he is at these first parts of the run. You know, he is now currently second place on the leaderboard, previously world record holder. He has put a lot of hours into this beginning of the run, and it's showing just how consistent he is at it. Getting, I believe, I can't see exactly what his intro split was there, but that was like around a 140 flat intro, and last run he had a 141 intro, which is just
extremely consistent.
Yeah, very fast intro times.
As we can see, Gymnast making the final slashes down to where Zelda is waiting for him. Still saving time, even with the missed cutscene skip on that first try. Still saving time over running through normally.
Yep.
Which just shows off the power and potential of the intro clip. Out of bounds skip we have here.
And you can also see just how much time loss there is if you fail that first cutscene skip, as RedSlay getting a clean intro got a 140 flat, and Gymnast only missing the first cutscene skip. That's his only mistake, and he got a 215. So losing about 35 seconds there to RedSlay just by missing that one cutscene trigger.
can definitely be brutal. And if you've watched top any percent runners recently, you may notice the high number of resets that happen before you even reach the initial upheaval cutscene here, just due to the volatility and sometimes unpredictability of the clip here in the intro.
Yeah, especially if you're going for world record, it's pretty much if you don't get that first clip first try, it's a reset, and it's very hard to get that first clip immediately, quickly, which is what most people go for. So you'll see a lot of resets if you watch any top runner. They'll be resetting to that first clip or that first cutscene trigger.
Speaking of top runners, we actually have one with us right here on comms. Lovely Sirius, currently in 3rd place on the leaderboard.
Yeah,
I'm curious to ask you, what do you think is the future of the any percent run, both in the near future and maybe a little bit further out? Maybe try to perform a little bit of prophecy and see.
Yeah, if I could do some predictions, I do think that the run is trending towards Daruk right now. I got my PB with Daruk, and I mean it's tough because it's definitely kind of whack. I think everyone agrees that Amiibo RNG is kind of whack. You know, it's an 11.5% chance to get a first try Topaz or Ruby from the Daruk Amiibo, but it's just so fast. If you get that first try scan, it's around 30 seconds faster, and that just cannot be ignored, especially as the times are lowered to approaching sub 42 right now. I think once we hit that sub 42 barrier, runners will start to be thinking like, wow, I mean, if I want to lower it any more than this, I'm going to have to pick up that free 30-second time save from Daruk. So I think it won't be too long until world records will be including Daruk, unless some major reroute happens, which I haven't seen.
Yeah, definitely a very reasonable prediction. And for those of you that aren't aware, the whole thing about the Daruk Amiibo, or as we affectionately call it, the Amiibo Casino, the Daruk Amiibo actually has odds to spawn a Ruby, Sapphire, or Topaz. Sapphire being pretty useless for the run due to its not very good damage. But if you grab a Ruby or a Topaz, then you're good. That's basically a free 30-second time save, depending on how quickly you get the scan, from just not having to do that whole cave running segment that we saw in the last run, and that we will likely be seeing here again. That's a free time save. And if you happen to get the Topaz, which is an even smaller drop rate, then you can perform an alternate version of Arrow Smuggle known as Shock Arrow Smuggle, or SAS, which basically eliminates the entire menuing setup that you saw from RedSlay. That's another additional 15 to 20 second time save.
Yeah. I'd say now with some of the temporary overload that I've been seeing, it's probably closer to 10 seconds now. They've gotten the regular ZOAS setup pretty fast now, so I think SAS probably only saves around 10 seconds at this point.
Very fair point indeed.
But combine that with a first try Daruk scan, which saves 30 seconds, then all of a sudden you're saving 40 seconds total. And that time save is very hard to ignore if you get a first try Topaz. It makes it a lot easier to get world record.
Speaking of which, in your PB, how many tries did it take you to get the gem that you wanted?
Yeah, I got Topaz in my PB, and it was 3rd try, although one of the scans didn't work, so I had to grab a different amiibo, because scanning amiibos is kind of finicky sometimes, so I lost a bit of time to that. But it was 3rd try. I did get Topaz. I was going to do SAS, but I got blown up and fused by a bomb, so I had to do ZOAS.
He says.
Unfortunately.
RedSlay also unfortunately not hitting Coxskip first try. Gonna go for a quick retry. Gets it second time.
That was a good backup. Very clean.
And you'll notice from RedSlay and likely from Gymnast as well, the little backflip on the end there. That little backflip there should tell you just how precise that jump is, because without that backflip, you're just barely on the edge. Basically just the very tip of Link's heel, and he will most likely slip off if you don't get that backflip there.
Yeah. As we see Gymnast hopefully getting a poor angle there on the jump, I think wasn't holding directly straight down, so gonna do a quick retry as well. Another bad angle. Not what you want to see. Fortunately, he's not using he's not committing to it. He knows it's bad immediately, and he's not doing a jump attack. So he's able to retry a little bit faster and gets a 3rd try. Pretty quick setups overall, so not too much damage. And RedSlay got a 2nd try as well, so really not too much of a difference.
For sure. And those were very quick retries from Jim, like Sirius mentioned. He's familiar enough with Coxskip that he knows what's going to work and what's not going to work, which is sometimes about as much as all you can ask for, right?
Yeah, it's definitely good to just recognize immediately that's not going to work and not overcommit to it, because if you go for that jump slash, like 1, it uses Master Sword durability, which there isn't much of, and 2, you just have to wait for that whole jump attack animation before you can try it again. But Gymnast, knowing it wasn't going to work, didn't commit to it and can set it up a lot faster.
For sure. That just shows you the that's definitely the experience of racing that Gymnast has coming through.
Now I'm curious. I imagine we're going to see
RedSlay.
We're going to see RedSlay go for wing flip again here. So this will be interesting to see if he can get it this try.
For sure.
This trick is something that I've been pushing every runner to do since it was first discovered, because I think it looks very cool and it's very fast. I believe it saves around 25 seconds max over the other early ascent setup, and more than that, like probably closer to 40 or something over no early ascent at all.
Unfortunately, too late on the wing drop as well.
Yeah, same mistake as last time, but again, did not take damage, same as last race, so he will not have to pick up any food to heal him, which is good.
For sure. And as you can see, having to dive through this title cutscene, you can imagine how annoying it would have to be to practice this wing flip and get it consistently. Having to go through that same title cutscene, it's what, like 1 minute long every time.
That is a
for
big
just
deterrent.
One try. It can be tough, but obviously your RedSlays put in the work and the hours to get it.
That is a mistake that Gymnast does like to see from RedSlay, though, because that will close the gap a little bit. You do not want RedSlay getting wing flip and just widening the gap even more between them. So
for sure, they're basically in the
for Gymnast.
Yeah, they're basically in the same dialogue chain right now too. So not a lot of time lost for Gymnast here.
I think RedSlay doing a small time save there where he opened the map menu, I believe, to skip pressing A, or I don't know if you know that time save clouded, but I've heard it's a few frames.
Yeah, you can, just another example of how we can shave off a few frames here by basically just do what the tutorial says. You open the map and then quickly close it, and it'll skip that white text box you saw that's a little bit longer. We can actually perform that similar thing on the tutorial box you open the quest menu after attempting to open the door at the Temple of Time here. There's a couple little neat optimizations like that in the game. All Dungeons has one as well. When you get your first armor piece, instead of just putting on the armor immediately, wait for the tutorial box to pop up and then open the menu from there instead, and then equip the armor. Just a nice little time save. That's basically free, so you might as well get those frames back, you know?
It is actually funny that it's a tutorial like text box that's telling you to do that, and like no one ever thought to like follow the tutorial. Maybe it'll be faster because we're just speedrunners. We don't do the tutorials.
I see an intended strat and I say, what is the exact opposite of that, and how quickly can I do it? RedSlay just barely cleared the gap enough to get the void out there. You can tell he took a little bit of extra time for the lineup just to make perfectly sure that his heel wouldn't clip the side of the floor or anything.
That is not the spot where you want to mess up. If you touch the ground there, I think we saw once in one of the qualifier races, someone touched the ground there, and it is super hard to back up because you respawn at the Temple of Time, and either you could do the old route where you run all the way to Ascend, or you reload the save back at the Puripad construct and have to wing all the way to Temple of Time again. So you do not want to mess up that.
The auto saves in this game can be kind of finicky too, especially when it comes to like your last grounded coordinates, as we call it. Sometimes you can get a little bit of a heel clip on there and it won't matter. Sometimes you can even get both of Link's feet planted on the ground, and if you're quick enough, then you can get off before it respawns your coordinates. But other times you can appear to be good and not get the autosave symbol in the corner, but then still end up caught on the ground. Thankfully, though, that tends to be a pretty rare scenario if you're doing everything properly.
We do get to see here runners both in the cave at the same time, quite close. This race is a lot closer right now than last race. They're pretty much tied. RedSlay going to be leaving the cave.
And I noticed last time, Gymnast actually opts to climb on the other side of the routes. I don't know if there's quite much of a time difference between the two. You end up having to do, it looks to me, about the same amount of time waiting for your stamina to recover.
Yeah.
But it's just another interesting setup. I think that one used to be more common before people started switching to the one on the left of the entrance.
Yeah, it looks like based on how fast RedSlay got to the shrine there, that his setup is about the same speed as Gymnast, because optimally all you're looking for is that when you get to the shrine, you're still at 1 full heart, and both of these climbs allow you to make it there in time. So once again, we're going to be entering Ascend here. Not much to see in this shrine. We basically just go through it casually. You will see RedSlay pick up a bow from the construct, but other than that, it'll pretty much just be going through it as intended, and we'll have a 1-minute cutscene afterwards to sit through.
Right, like Sirius said, there's really not much we can do. So as we mentioned last time, Ascend is pretty much optimally going to be the first shrine on any route that you're doing. And that being the case, you're very limited in terms of what you can do. If we had Fuse and we had bombs, we'd be able to do bomb jumps and get a quick cycle at the beginning. If we had, some other tech that was available to us, if from Ascend being further on GSI, there's probably a lot more we can do with it. However, it being the first shrine and us wanting to go as not far out of our way as possible, there's really not much we can do except Ascend. And as you'll see, as we saw last time as well, RedSlay grabbing that bow from the construct here, affectionately named Billy by the community, in terms being able to set up his juggle overload later on in Fuse.
It has been interesting to see some of the ideas for optimizing the shrine more. Like there's some ideas of like transferring zonite devices into the shrine, which I don't know exactly what that's called, but is possible. Normally you're not allowed to pull out zonite devices in shrines, but there is a way to do it. That's been thought up. There's been thoughts of getting arrow smuggle from the like, and then we could just infinite height up. And then like Clouded said, if we did Fuse first and could do bomb jumps. There's been a lot of like theories of how to speed up this shrine, but none of them work just because going to this shrine later is just always going to be very difficult to optimize and make it faster than going to it first. But you never know. Might happen.
For sure. And I mean, in an ideal world, maybe we can just skip the shrine altogether somehow. But that theories to that regard haven't seemed to pan out so far, but we'll see. Never say never.
That is definitely going to be the point where this run goes to like sub 40, sub 30, maybe even if we could get off GSI without having to do all 4 shrines. That would be amazing to see.
The fabled GSI skip, which interestingly enough has actually been proven with hacks to be theoretically possible, at least a lot more possible for an RTA fresh boot run than we saw for a possible Great Plateau skip in Breath of the Wild. So there are options that we have available to us. It's just sometimes the even if a viable setup becomes found, sometimes the setup may even be slower than just doing everything normally.
I think I definitely see GSI skip happening and being proven possible, but I do not see it probably ever being viable for any percent, because just with the tools we have on GSI, there's not much we can really do. We don't have very much control. If you were to do GSI skip, you need to be like transferring a lot of things from saves and doing text diving and stuff. It gets crazy, but I think it will happen, and it will be very cool when it happens, because like Clouded said on Breath of the Wild, that game's been out for like 7 years, and no one's found a way to skip the Great Plateau.
7 years? Oh my gosh, I feel so old. But yeah, it's been quite crazy, and Nintendo made very sure that there's the flags and the triggers for GSI are all in order. We need to open that 4-heart door to activate the golden light. We need to get a 4th heart container in the first place to open that door. We need to complete the first 3 shrines before unlocking fast travel and unlocking Recall Shrine itself. Actually, with early Ascend, you can go back up to the Recall Shrine, and even we saw with Cogskip, you run right past it, but unfortunately it's not open, so we cannot access it early, which would cut a lot of time out of the route if that was possible. But it's been found too that even if you can clip inside the shrine, the loading zone is still not active until you actually use the little green hand portal on front.
They learn from their mistakes in Breath of the Wild.
Sadly, we don't have any sort of viable shrine coordinate warps yet.
Yeah, it is interesting to see how the maps like overlap. I've seen a lot of stuff with that, which is very interesting. There might be some cool stuff there to be discovered.
For sure. And coming through Pondside Cave here in our game 2, we can see Gymnast is actually just right on RedSlay's tail, barely losing any time. He's just a half a cave run away.
Yeah, I got a little bit scared there. RedSlay pointing that Ruby quite far down. I thought he was going to get hit by the blast radius. Very, very close. I've seen that happen quite a few times to RedSlay and a lot of other runners that try to get that shield by throwing the Ruby at the constructs. It's pretty easy to blow yourself up with the Ruby there. Happens all the
Gymnast
time.
Gymnast actually opting to throw it from quite further away, which is probably smart, although it does give you a little bit less time to grab the shield before it burns up.
And yeah, we see just maybe only a 20-second difference here, not too much at all. And we will see Gymnast catch up in the shrine, probably past RedSlay even, as he has to do the Zuggle overload setup. But then RedSlay will likely pass him right back going to Ultra Hand. So that'll be cool to see them swap places a little bit here.
But very clean enter fuse splits from both runners. Looking at RedSlay's screen, it looks like he actually might have golded that split. Very impressive.
Wow, and that also shows, because Gymnast didn't lose any time. Like, if anything, it looked like Gymnast was like just as fast, if not faster, as RedSlay on that split. So very, very good splits for both runners there entering Fuse.
Definitely, their consistency really showing through here in Game 2 of our finals match.
Yeah, like I said earlier, the big thing with ZOAS is the flight after the shrine, the Fuse to Ultra Hand Arrow flight, is a very long flight, and it's quite straining to do. So if RedSlay is a little bit worn out here, something could go wrong. It's very easy to mess up an input if your hands are feeling a little bit tired or you're just not feeling the rhythm. I'm not sure if he uses a metronome.
For sure, this will definitely be a make or break section here for RedSlay. And even before getting there, the menuing here, while seemingly innocuous, can actually be quite a time waster if you miss some of the unpause and quick repause and your items accidentally drop too early. That can cost you a whole menuing cycle or more if you miss it consecutively.
Yeah, you can see RedSlay taking a full like couple seconds there to get that pause unpause. Because it's quite a precise timing, and if you just try to do it fast, it's very easy to mess up. So he's taking his time, unpausing and then pausing again to make sure he gets the timing right.
For sure, and so this is where we will likely see Gymnast pulling ahead, actually, of RedSlay as he finishes up the menuing. And you'll notice, too, we didn't get a chance to mention this last time, but this seems to be the optimal spot that we found so far to perform the setup, as there is a little bit of forced downtime, like you saw from Gymnast, waiting for that key door to open. So as you're standing there, if you can get all the inputs in before the door fully opens, the only time you're losing is from the menuing there.
This is also super cool to see. I just want to mention, they pretty much were at the exact same spot at the same time, but RedSlay pulling ahead because he skips the construct cutscene there that Gymnast just had to watch. So Gymnast was actually ahead, but then RedSlay pulled right back ahead because he could skip that cutscene with Arrow Flight.
Exactly, a demonstration of what makes Arrow Flight so viable. Even if it was just for GSI only, it's still theorized to be even worth it just for that setup if you can do it quickly. And thankfully, that cutscene is one of the only ones that we've been able to find a skip for so far, or a mitigation for. Having more cutscene skips in this game would be very nice, for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, we can see they're basically synced here, but you're going to get to see a direct comparison between the two routes here as Gymnast is on the wing going to do under GSI, and RedSlay is going to be attempting to do the Arrow Flight from Fuse to Ultra Hand. So we'll get to see like pretty much a direct comparison of which one's faster. And by how much.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And we did see a little bit of fumbling on the quick menu there from Jim as he accidentally pulled out one of his rubies instead of a wing trying to get up there. Yeah, could have been disastrous if that was his only ruby, if he hadn't duped a couple extra earlier.
Yeah, he did dupe 2 in Fuse, and we see RedSlay getting a perfect Arrow Flight, landing right at the entrance.
Couldn't have asked for a better launch.
So yeah, you can really see the time save from Aeroflight just from this. They were around 3 seconds apart before this, and now it's going to be like, who knows, 20, 25 seconds? Like, it's crazy how fast that Aeroflight is.
Not to mention the Ascend cutscene that Gymnast will have to go through. Honestly, Ascend is very useful for sure. However, we do try to avoid it as much as possible in speedrunning, as the cutscene can be very long. As you'll see, Gymnast here basically burning all those extra seconds on the Ascend cutscene that RedSlay did not have to deal with.
Oh, interesting. So, yeah.
You take this one.
RedSlay, last run, opting to do an Aeroflight in Ultra Hand, but this run deciding to just run through it normally, which only uses 1 extra bomb and is around like maybe 1 or 2 seconds slower only, so same speed basically. And yeah, it's just interesting that he'd switch. I guess, you know, maybe seeing that Gymnast is not too far behind, doesn't want to risk getting a slow angle and losing 6 seconds, just gonna opt for the safer strat.
Makes sense, and that's exactly what we were mentioning before in our game 1, looking to see maybe if runners will try for a little bit more safer strats, kind of risk management. The race strategy definitely comes into play here, and you wonder what's on his mind. You know, he's on the verge of clinching a tournament finals victory, so he may be looking to play it a little bit more safe, depending on how far Gymnast can catch up to him. It'll be interesting to see what sort of tech he goes for here on the launch to Temple of Time.
Yeah, he will still be going for the bomb jump, it looks like. Getting pretty decent speed here. And a pretty good angle as well.
Definitely worth the risk there. He's going to be saving a lot of more time over Gymnast just in that section alone. As you'll see, Gymnast will have to wing and then basically run up the staircase. Speaking of cutscene skips and load mitigation here, something we haven't touched on yet is this cutscene that RedSlay is entering for the recall secret stone here. It's been determined that actually the closer you are standing approximately to the stone, you have a better chance of getting a quicker load into this cutscene here. And it looks like RedSlay did get that quicker load.
Yeah, one of the weird optimizations in this game is load times are just very weird and very hard to predict, but there is a few spots where we have been able to find a consistent way to get faster loads, like for this one, jumping to get closer to the stone and then later running out of the cave as well. Both of those just a little bit more consistent, trying to get those fast load times.
For sure, and with how many cutscenes, dialogues, loads that we had to go through in this route, every little bit helps. RedSlay getting the ledge bomb this time.
Yeah, not overshooting it.
Not taking a little bath.
I see someone in the chat saying, is RedSlay still on 42 pace? He is. Best possible time, 42.53, it looks like. Very good run by RedSlay so far. Golding enter fuse split, and just playing very consistently overall.
Indeed, and despite that, Gymnast actually isn't that far behind, where he's still in the Temple of Time.
Yeah, which is really the difference between these two routes is, like, Gymnast going through the beginning of the game pretty, like, well this time around, not messing up too much in intro, just a small mistake, and he's able to keep up very easily because his route, especially for GSI, is a lot easier to keep up and get good GSI times. Where it really falls behind is after GSI, where you have to do the manual clips.
For sure, it's certainly a lot more consistent route with less risky strategies and easier to get through a no reset. But with RedSlay's consistency with Arrow Smuggle Flight, it seems that hasn't been a problem for him, at least in these 2 matches that we've had so far.
And we will see RedSlay again doing this ledge bomb here. I believe he's like the only one that goes for this ledge bomb because it's quite precise and doesn't save really any time. unless you do a crazy fast setup, then it saves a little bit of time. But he does always opt to go for the ledge bomb, which looks very cool, and you get a lot more speed.
Very clean for sure. I see a question in chat about manual clips. Manual clips referring to later when we have to perform 3 out-of-bounds clips, 2 out-of-bounds clips, and 1 to clip back in bounds. They are performed by the same process. However, since RedSlay is using Arrow Smuggle, he will not have to perform these menuing inputs. It's basically just two alternating between Y and ZR that he'll have to press, whereas Gymnast will have to navigate the rune menu and the shield menu a little bit more. So that's what's meant by manual clips.
Yeah.
And we'll see again, just another huge difference between Arrow Smuggle versus non.
Gymnast falling in the water. Going back, I think he could have swam up just onto the raft, but not too much of a difference. Actually, a big difference there because he gets a dive instead of a shield jump. So he's going to wait a little bit longer here. Not getting the dive animation this time, which this is the problem with the wing shield recall split, is this. It's a cycle-based shrine as well, so if you mess up like Gymnast did there, he has to wait a long time for this next raft to drop, losing around like 15 seconds.
Yep, and not only are you losing time in recall, but you notice that speed food timer is ticking down. So he may have to kind of push it a bit if he wants it to last us to the end of GSI.
Yeah, you do not want to run a speed food early. Makes the ending slow.
Yep.
And just like that, with that mistake, the gap is a lot wider than it was just a few minutes ago when they're both basically in the Temple of Time at the same time. Now, instead, RedSlay pulling quite a bit ahead here, going to be exiting Temple of Time as Gymnast is just TPing out of recall. I'm curious to see how RedSlay's nerves hold up going into like Army, which is a very stressful part of the run. And
sure.
you know, knowing that he is already 1 game up, definitely ahead of Gymnast at this point, just needs to not die at Army. We'll have to see if his nerves hold up or if he might make a silly mistake and get hit by one of the rubies.
For sure. If you've watched a lot of any percent speedruns, the ruby throws may look automatic, and you might not see a lot of runners die to it in a race, or sorry, in a run. But it's definitely not as simple as it looks. There's a precise throw angles and locations that you need to hit optimally, and there's still a lot more optimization being done on Army to get the quickest kills. But some of them are very tight as well. If you're even just a couple steps too forward, you will burn yourself to death on the ruby. So like Sirius said, nerves could definitely play a part here.
Yeah, and RedSlay again going for this backflip dupe, dive duping, which they didn't work out for him last run. He was falling off the wing twice, but getting it this time pretty clean. He has not fallen off. Is going to be doing it a little bit late there, so he actually just grabbed the rubies instead of having them drop. Again, I think going to be holding them there, yeah. A little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, and this dive duping here, another example of a very recent optimization that's only been implemented in the last week or 2, I believe. And you notice him as well as he jumps off the wing. He's performing Arrow Smuggle in conjunction with these quick shield jumps, which actually not only helps preserve your momentum, but gives you a little bit of a boost there. One of the issues that we can see with Arrow Flight is the momentum tends to decay after a while, even with an optimal flight. I'm not sure exactly what the cutoff is, but there is definitely a point where you will basically lose all your momentum and speed. But doing these shield jumps in conjunction with falling and those quick bow pulls will help to preserve a lot of that momentum and speed for RedSlay as he heads back down to the balcony clip.
Yeah, he has a very good angle this time. I think last round he had a kind of poor angle going to the balcony, so he had to do some Mazdoor jumps to get a little bit closer. But this time around, having a really good angle, is going to be able to just immediately fall right onto the balcony and pick up the arrows. Getting there so fast that the arrows don't want him to pick them up yet. They haven't like totally spawned in, which is always funny.
I was
He has
about
to
to
just
say,
wait.
got the unloaded arrows. The Mazor jump just references those jump slash chains that we saw both in the intro and that we'll see later on in Demon Dragon as well. Just a quick press of R, B, Y, dive, cancel, jump slash, dive, cancel, jump slash, which when performed at an angle of 180 degrees or more from the camera angle allows you to get some pretty good momentum for these jump slashes and correct your position quite a bit.
And interestingly, only on version 1.0 can you chain those jump slashes so fast. On every other version, there's a delay between when you can start a new jump slash. So you lose a little bit of time. And some tricks just aren't possible on later versions because you can't chain those jump slashes as fast as you can on 1.0.
For sure. RedSlay, fall damage canceling from a little bit too high up. He took a damage, but it shouldn't be an issue from here as he eats his second speed food to refill to full hearts. Just in case. Getting a quick grab on the door there to get the army trigger. Gymnast also with a clean fall damage cancel, and you'll notice even on the fall damage cancel he has just that little bit of extra menuing, and in a race as tight as this every frame counts.
Yeah, and also the fall damage cancel that he has to do with opening the rune menu and switching shields is a lot scarier because there's a little bit of a pause after you switch your shields between when you need to do the input to hit the fall damage cancel itself, and sometimes that pause can be different. It could be a longer pause or a shorter pause, and that can throw you off, and sometimes you might mistime it and not get the fall damage cancel, so a little bit scary always.
Or even the dreaded Pro Controller snapback to kill your run, just like that.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's lost runs to a snapback, not being able to switch shields properly.
That's why all the best runners, including myself, prefer to use Joy-Cons. Detached, by the way.
I actually used detached Joy-Cons for like the first 4 months of running this game, and then
recently
bought it. Yeah, I bought a Pro-Con a few months ago. And I was on your side. I was like, you know what, Joy-Cons are just better. It makes some things just quite a bit easier, but I think I do prefer the Pro-Con after using it for a while.
I'll have to give it a try. But yeah, to answer the question in chat, the Mazor jump is named after Maz and Agor. They put their names together. The two people who kind of found the jump slash chaining words to that effect. And yes, another question in chat here. You'll see the what we call recall cancel throws from both runners here in Army, where by using any rune to quickly open L menu or quickly activate the rune before throwing, it'll cancel Link's throw animation, enabling him to get out those rubies quite a bit faster.
Yeah.
And any rune works, but recall just tends to be the most comfortable and I guess you could say efficient for Army.
And we see another clean Army from RedSlay here. Not too many mistakes. His nerves did hold up. He's still looking very good, on very good pace. Even though getting an instant clip as well, even though he's on game 2 of the grand finals of this tournament, his nerves are holding up strong, and he's still performing within a minute of world record currently.
Very quick clips, as Sirius said. It's interesting to notice that he didn't opt to go for the same spot that he zuggled as in last time. I wonder what his thought process is here. Also missing the first clip, so he's going to have to come back. But with Arrow Smuggle, it's a very quick retry, so not a huge amount of time lost for RedSlay. Unfortunately, the camera kind of messing with him a bit.
Yeah, this camera can be super annoying.
Believe it or not, the game doesn't actually want you to be standing in that location, so the camera tends to freak out a bit.
Yeah, that first clip from RedSlay really showing off the speed of the Arrow Smuggle clips, where he just did 3 quick jump slash cancels and immediately clipped and shield jumped. It took like 2 seconds, which probably is about the same time as it takes Gymnast to do 1 infinite height with all that menuing. So it's like crazy time save if you get those instant clips.
Definitely, and it looks like RedSlay will be doing his map juggling a little bit further down the tunnel. Interesting noticing from Gymnast as well, he's actually using arrows and bow shots to fire the rubies at the moblins. I'm not sure if that's a little bit faster or...
I think it's a comfort thing.
Could be, for sure.
Yeah, because I've always seen Gymnast do that since like day 1, and he never switched off of it. So I imagine that's just what he's comfortable with.
Makes sense. There we see the power of 4 Boss Boko halberds glued to Link's hand to quickly dispatch Ganondorf Phase 1.
We also see Gymnast missing an infinite height there, not being able to open the shield menu. So we'll be losing quite a bit of time to that, having to do all those infinite heights to get back up to the ceiling here. And then also has to get a nearly frame perfect shield jump, or sorry, JCC to clip, which is very hard to time because it depends on how close Link's head is to the ceiling. That will depend on when you need to open the rune menu. If you open it a little bit later, you want Link's head to be lower. If you open it sooner, you want his head to be close to the ceiling. So it's very hard to predict that, and it makes it like a nearly frame perfect trick.
Definitely great explanation from Sirius about that jump slash cancel clip. And on that clip spot in particular, it can be really annoying to retry as well, because if you miss the perfect bonk that you want too many times in a row, the wall is slightly angled, so it'll actually move Link a little bit back out of the optimal position, which can make things difficult. And as you saw there, Gymnast, he actually lowered himself down a bit more before trying to go back up. We'll see how he does on the third clip here.
Yeah, getting that perfect timing there, gets the clip. That's what you like to see. You also saw before him getting that clip there, the camera was messing him up quite a bit, just like RedSlay. The camera is very finicky in that spot, very hard to predict. Sometimes it'll just shoot the camera somewhere else and you have no idea where you are. It gets very disorienting very quick.
Definitely. There's been a few strats I've seen floating around to trying to mitigate that as much. We saw RedSlay using the scope as he ran through the tunnel. I've seen other like ZL targeting different camera angles to try to get the camera to behave. Some more consistent than others, but in the end, we sometimes are just at the mercy of, we're doing something the game doesn't want us to do, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. I've seen runners even get blind clips on that just by pure muscle memory timing, not bothering to try to adjust the camera.
I've definitely done that. You can kind of tell because you'll start to take gloom damage as you clip, so you can kind of use that as a cue, and also just feeling like sometimes you can actually just feel like you got the clip. It's really a interesting thing that you learn from speedrunning this game so much.
For sure. And we see here it's going to be coming all down to Demon Dragon for RedSlay. If he can nail the clean 2 cycle, that'll be game, set, match for him. Tournament victory.
This is definitely a great position for him to be in. He has quite a lot of wiggle room as well. If he does fail the 2 cycle, he should still be fine to just do a casual Demon Dragon and close it out. But knowing RedSlay, I'm sure he will hit the 2 cycle. Exactly,
and if you're a Gymnast here, all you can hope for is that RedSlay's nerves get the better of him and he slips up a little bit. Perhaps it may take more than one slip up for a Gym to close the gap at this point.
Yeah, I think at this point, if you mess up immediately, there's always the thought, maybe I should just restart and try to get a 2 cycle again. But that is risky because on version 1.0 there is actually a soft lock that can happen. If you kill yourself on the Demon Dragon and go to click the game over screen and hit retry, sometimes it just won't transition and you'll just be soft locked in the game over screen. So, fortunately, almost getting shot the wrong way there. He kind of got bounced back, but landing on the swing pretty fast here. This is looking good for RedSlay, so likely will not be retrying. No risk of soft locking.
The 2 cycle here, it's so intricate. So many things can go wrong. As you see here, he missed 3 of the jump slashes.
And just like that, the 2 cycle is now impossible. Like that little mistake where he just did a couple of slashes, the not hitting the eye, he is now too late and will not get the 2 cycle. So, making it a little bit closer here, closer than he probably wants it to be. Especially if he jumped off in the wrong spot here, and is just going to be nowhere near an eye. This is exactly what we were saying, is like when you get off script here, it is very hard to predict what Zelda's going to do, where she's going to bring you.
Exactly, you're just at the mercy of wherever she decides to drop you off. If you're near an eye, if you're not, tough luck. And it seems like this is going to be
jumping off too early there again,
Or perhaps he could be trying to intentionally reset Zelda's position as he knows it may already be unfavorable, but hard to know for sure. But as we can see him using these modules again to stall in midair for a quicker dragon pickup, and hopefully a quicker retry.
Like, just after those 2 mistakes, now it's looking like maybe Gymnast with a perfect 2 cycle here could close the gap. This is actually very, very scary. Especially because I think the dragon's going to transition to his next phase. Yeah, he's not going to be able to get to his next eye.
Here.
Yeah, he's going to have to dive again for a 3rd time. Oh,
definitely a golden opportunity here for Gymnast.
Barely making it, actually.
stay alive in this tournament.
RedSlay does only have one eye left though. And Zelda misses him as well. Missing him
Twice.
again.
Wow.
This is the danger of the Demon Dragon.
Sometimes the light
way
dragon
harder
is the
than you
real
want
boss
it.
fight.
Yeah, actually. Zelda is actually the biggest threat in this fight to a speedrun. Demon Dragon can't really do much to you. Like, he can hit you with a stray ball that he shoots, and that can be annoying sometimes, but most of the time, if it fails, it is because of Zelda.
And you'll see RedSlay having to do a slow dive here as he's still very far away angled from the eye. Hopefully he won't have to resort to doing Mazda jumps to correct position. He can get down fast enough to that eye. There we see a little Mazda jump in there. Almost misses again, but thankfully able to grab the fourth eye. As Gymnast is actually only 2 eyes behind, he was able to close the gap considerably. And we can see RedSlay being thrown off cycle. He's not going to go for those same Mazda chains as he did in game 1. So he will have a little bit of a slower dive down to the last eye. Could it be just enough time for Gymnast to close a little bit more of the gap with a clean 2 cycle?
Yeah, and we see Gymnast getting a good third eye here, so he is on pace to get the 2 cycle. And with a fast ending, it may be possible. I don't know if Gymnast goes for the fast ending, but he might just have to if he wants any chance here.
This is coming down to the wire. RedSlay's going to have to slow dive again down to the dragon's head. Maybe a few Mazda jumps to correct position right on cue.
Yeah. Well, if he missed the head there, which there's always a chance of happening, and he does get the last hit, sealing the deal here, but man, that was super close.
Very tight ending, incredible.
And Gymnast is going for the fast ending here.
Looks good from Gymnast as well, as long as Zelda can keep a good position. Here she comes. You can only wonder if maybe the nerves were just getting to RedSlay a little bit, and on probably what could be considered one of the very most difficult parts of the run. I don't think anyone can blame him for slipping up a bit.
We see Gymnast barely getting to the Demon Dragon's head here, having to run around a little bit. Does he know the side hop here? Does not go for the side hop, just goes for maybe the backflip, maybe didn't hit it, but gonna get that 8-second load screen here. Doesn't totally matter. It is GG for RedSlay here, as he just needs to dive and catch Zelda. Not much can go wrong unless his controller dies.
But certainly huge props to both runners. Incredible performance and play from both of them, especially coming down to the wire here. What a great finish to our very first Tears of the Kingdom M% tournament. Very interesting parkour on the eyeball from Gymnast. I've actually never seen a recovery from that far below, so very good recovery from him there.
Yeah, I do want to say the Demon Dragon's head did not turn as much as it normally does. He jumped off Zelda at what looked like the right time to me, but sometimes the Demon Dragon's head just doesn't turn, and you have to do some Mazdas to get over to it, which is very sketchy.
And that is game, set, match for RedSlay. A very strong time, 45 minutes and 24 seconds, which lands you in a solid top 15 on the leaderboard. 2 back-to-back top 15 runs in a no reset, high stakes competitive setting from RedSlay. Incredible play. Incredible play.
2 45-minute times. Very impressive. Very consistent as well.
And Gymnast's times, nothing to shake a stick at either. But yes, we will be pulling in both runners for some post-game interviews here shortly.
Yeah, I want to say a 46-13 from Gymnast. Also very, very impressive for a no reset, and for the strats that he's doing, playing within just a few minutes of his best possible time. And same with RedSlay, playing within just a few minutes of his best possible time. Very clean. And hello, Gymnast and RedSlay, both in the call now. How are you guys feeling? Specifically, I want to talk to RedSlay first. How are you feeling after that big win?
Dude, I made that Demon Dragon a bit close. I don't even remember what happened on the second eye. I think I just missed a bunch of hits and then got launched.
Yeah, you were a little bit late swinging, missing the eye a couple times with a few swings, and then, like, we all know that when you miss a few swings on that second eye or mess up the 2 cycle, it really throws off Zelda's position.
Yeah.
But how are you feeling just overall? Like, how do you think the races went? Like, what went well, what went bad?
I'm very happy with how I've been playing across the races. Most of the mistakes I've made have all been just small mistakes. Like, I haven't made any massive mistakes.
Yeah, you've avoided all the big time losses from the ZOAS route. You didn't fail a single, like, fused ultra hand. Nothing major at all.
Yeah, I'm a bit annoyed I couldn't get wing flip in either of these races though, and to the exact same thing both times.
Yeah, just the timing on canceling the Mazda to pull the second one.
Yeah.
For sure. Incredible finish from both runners. Gymnast, how are you feeling about your performance here today and just overall throughout the tournament? You've been playing very consistently, even with a route that is technically might be a little bit slower than the Aerosmuggle flight, but able to still make it this far all the way to the finals. How are you feeling?
Yeah, overall feeling pretty good. I didn't really seem to have the intro in me today. So
yeah, that first cutscene skip.
That was the one thing that I wasn't very happy about, but other than that, things more or less went pretty well, so not a whole lot to complain about besides that.
Yeah, I think we were saying from like the very beginning, between you two, it was a battle of consistency versus speed, and RedSlay just hit all the hard, fast strats and was able to just do the faster route and execute it very well, making it just so difficult to keep up with.
For sure, and we've seen the developments from the Aerosmuggle route just in recent weeks. There's been a lot of new small optimizations popping up almost every day. So I guess just question to both of you guys: what are your kind of your goals for any percent going forward? I know Gymnast has got the big AGDQ race coming up. RedSlay still gunning for that world record and the first sub 42. So what are you two looking at for the future in terms of this category?
At least for me, it's mostly just the GDQ run. I don't think I really plan on trying to like grind the category in its current state, just because at least to me, the combination of intro, cog skip, and then like early ascend seems kind of brutal.
Yeah, it definitely
Indeed,
is.
indeed.
So I'll probably just stick with all dungeons for the time being.
Not to mention the Daruk Amiibo Casino always looming on the horizon.
Oh yeah.
Could be another huge deterrent.
Yeah, and that's actually a good question for RedSlay. What are you thinking about all that? I know you practiced SAS a little bit. I taught you it. Are you considering picking that up? Maybe if player 5 or you gets a sub 42, are you maybe thinking I need that Daruk time save?
Yeah, I think I'll go for Daruk once like world record is just out of the question without it, because I don't really want to run Daruk. That 1 in 10 chance is not ideal.
Very understandable. No Amiibo is looking like a pretty decent option at the moment.
Yeah, it's good that it's kept up so long that Daruk hasn't taken over just yet. Been able to hold on to no Amiibo. No Amiibo still being viable is very nice to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, I think that pretty much closes out the tournament. That's our last race for the tournament. So big GG to you, RedSlay. Congratulations on a clean. Every race in the bracket for you, I believe, was a 2-0, right? Just super dominant performance from you throughout.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed this tourney. It's been great.
Glad to hear. I think I can speak for all of us watching the audience that we feel the same. It's been incredible to watch the various races and runners doing their best to showcase this amazing game that we all love and enjoy playing, for the most part. But it's been an incredible experience, and I know I can speak on behalf of us TOTK staff that it's been awesome to see the involvement in the race here and everybody just gunning for the best time. So a huge thank you to all of our runners, racers, commentators, and as always, a huge thank you to ZSR as well for hosting and restreaming. We really appreciate all the work that everyone's put in to make our community a fun place to hang out, play some video games, maybe do it fast.
Yeah, thank you to all the organizers and all the volunteers, everyone that volunteered to commentate, restream the runs. It's been amazing to see these runs shown off on the Zelda Speedruns channel. And I look forward to seeing more when we do the next tournament.
Definitely. Can't wait for the next event that we've got.
I don't know about you, Clouded, but do you have any insider info on maybe if there's any other events in the works potentially?
Maybe a 100 cog skip challenge might be on the horizon.
That would be an amazing one to see.
Or maybe not. Or maybe not.
that would be
Yeah.
sweet though.
I think the community could benefit from a cook a pizza percent speedrun tournament.
Oh, could be as well. But yeah, stay tuned for sure, all runners, viewers, everybody out there, for anything else that we might have planned in the future. Based on the great reaction we've got to this event, we're definitely going to look for holding similar events like this in the future.
And sounds like you all are wrapping up unless anyone has any final thoughts. Okay, well,
Nothing from me.
Yeah, congratulations, RedSlay, GG, Jim, and thank you to both of our commentators, Clouded and Sirius. With that is the last thing on the ZSR calendar for the weekend. But stay tuned, and we may be back later this week with more Zelda content before we take our 2-week holiday break. We're going to go raid one of our restreamers, Xenu, who's doing a fundraising stream, playing some Wind Waker Randomizer. And hope everyone has a good Sunday night.